Part 2 begins with Beth taking Russian classes to prepare herself for when it's time to challenge the Soviets in chess. After class, she meets a guy who invites her over for a party. The two get to know each other while smoking weed. After a while, Beth rings her mother and tells her she is partying with college students and won't be home. Mrs. Wheatley reminds her to be careful before hanging up. Beth ends up hooking up with the guy. When she wakes up, she finds a note in the kitchen and learns everyone's gone to Cincinnati to watch a movie. The note states that she is free to stay as long as she wants. Beth decides to stay and clean up the entire apartment while having some leftover booze. As time passes, Beth eventually graduates from high school. As a gift, Mrs. Wheatley gets her a bracelet engraved with love from mother. The pair sit together, with Beth preparing for an upcoming trip to Mexico City, plus the U.S. Championship. On their way to Mexico, Mrs. Wheatley reveals the real reason she's going. It turns out she has a friend in Mexico City called Manuel, and he's meeting them at the airport. She adds that they remained in contact with each other even though she was already married. Upon reaching, Manuel greets them and he and Mrs. Wheatley enjoy a romantic conversation. As they drive around Mexico City, Beth awkwardly listens from the back seat. The big day arrives and Beth continues her winning streak. While Mrs. Wheatley and Manuel grow closer together, Beth begins to fret as she has to play against a Russian Grandmaster Borgov. Her mother tells her she performs well with intuition, and she suggests that she should relax. Beth agrees to go out and free her mind. The next day, Mrs. Wheatley is a little upset that Manuel had to leave for business, so Beth comforts her. The tournament continues and Beth plays with a young boy, who initially challenges her. With both of their exceptional skills, the game extends for a very long time. They then decide to call it a day. The next day, Beth interestingly uses distractions as a way of throwing the boy off his game. She strangely walks away while waiting for his move, and then comes back and makes her move, then walks away again. This irks the young lad the more she does it. He finally resigns. It was clearly a lesson Beth's original teacher Mr. Schabel taught her. Respect the game and resign if it is over. Afterward, she finds her mother playing the piano for an audience. When Beth looks at the tournament board, she realizes she's against Borgov in the finals. The day finally arrives. Beth patiently waits for Borgov to play against him. Borgov plays white, and as he makes the first move, it appears that this would be a great match, but it wasn't to be. The moves in the chessboard slowly go back and forth, each player strategizing against the other. Beth fights with everything she has, all while waiting for her mother to arrive, who doesn't show up on her big day. Beth gets irritated at her mother's absence, and channels this anger into her game playing. But it's no good. She's outplayed and thrown off her game by Borgov. Eventually, Beth has to resign so she loses the game. Afterward, she goes to her hotel room and admits to her mother that she couldn't help but feel that she'd already lost. Beth was even surprised by how unimaginative Borgov's moves were. But as she tells her mother this, she realizes Mrs. Wheatley isn't responsive. Beth rushes to her bedside to open the lamp. As the light shines on her mother's face, she kneels on the floor. Mrs. Wheatley is dead. In the next scene, paramedics bring Mrs. Wheatley out of the hotel on a stretcher. The doctor approaches Beth to inform her of his findings. He thinks the cause of death is hepatitis, but an autopsy will confirm his findings. The hotel staff ensures Beth that they would help her with anything that she needed, and that her bill would be taken care of. She makes a note and asks them if she can contact the person on it. Later, we see her ringing the phone and speaking with Mr. Wheatley to inform him about his wife's death. Not surprisingly, he is completely apathetic about what happened to Mrs. Wheatley. When Beth tells him she isn't sure where to bury her, Mr. Wheatley tells her that he doesn't want to be involved and that she could have the house as long as she could pay the mortgages. Later, Beth sits by the window of the plane, preparing to head home. She sees 4 men loading up a coffin. There is no doubt that it is her mother. Overcome by sadness, Elizabeth raises her glass to the empty seat beside her, a farewell toast to her mother. In a flashback, we see a portion of Beth's youth. Her biological mother tells her that she does not have to be scared of loneliness. At present, Beth returns to her home after the dramatic events in Mexico. She lives alone in a house that is now hers. Alone for the first time, she reminisces about the time she spent with Mrs. Wheatley. Suddenly the phone rings. It's Harry Beltic, the one Beth defeated in the state championship. He was calling on the notion that news spread of her loss against Borgov, so he offers to help her. Feeling lonely, Beth agrees and invites him over. Moments after, Harry arrives with a box of chess books, complimenting Beth on her looks, saying that she is no longer the gawky kid that bested him 5 years ago. They discuss what happened in her game, and Harry advises her that she should always remain open instead of focusing on a single play, as that would always guarantee her loss. Beth decides to play out a scenario by playing chess, which proves Harry's point. She also compliments Harry, saying that something also changed about him, but she cannot specify. Harry reveals it is his teeth. giving Beth a big wide smile. He adds that he got it fixed a while back. She smiles back in agreement. Harry decides to proceed to his hotel room, where he is temporarily staying until he can find an apartment. Before leaving, he tells Beth that he'd be back tomorrow with more books. While he's gone, Beth decides against going to bed and instead curls up on the sofa to watch the familiar chatter from TV that Mrs. Wheatley found so comforting. Harry returns the next morning and signals to Beth that she has to make many efforts if she wants to beat Borgov. He tells her a short story about his chess career and explains how Borgov actually gets the title of world champion. As Harry heads to the bathroom, he notices the vitamin pills in her bathroom and expresses concern. He keeps it quiet for now while Beth takes his advice and starts looking into Borgov, understanding exactly what the Russian is capable of. As the days go by, the two enjoy each other's company, continuing to play and discuss chess. Each night, Beth reads about Borgov's career, and we are given a flashback of his matches and interviews. Harry reveals that he's going to move out of his hotel and into an apartment. He also needs to look for a part-time job, so he can no longer come by as often as he would like. Beth then tells him to move in with her for free. By instinct, Harry kisses her, but he quickly says sorry when Beth doesn't respond. She then tells him she wasn't ready. They then eventually hook up. In bed, Harry doubts and wonders if it's better to go to his room or to stay with her. He has started to develop feelings for Beth, but she is unwilling to even entertain the notion of romance at the moment. The next day, Beth goes over to the local store where she bumps into Margaret, one of the bullies from high school. She tells Beth that she got married right after graduation. Beth sarcastically tells her that she enjoys the chess life and the traveling due to the thrill of seeing the boys. She references the boys because Margaret always asked her about it when they were younger. Beth sees that Margaret has a baby and Margaret also seems happy, but the wine bottles under the baby carriage tell us otherwise. That evening, Beth and Harry talk over chess again. But this time we see Harry trying to confess his love for her. He tells her that she's the reason he had his teeth fixed and that he was waiting for her to come back, but Beth immediately dodges the conversation and changes the topic. Harry just ends up inviting her to another game of chess. In the next game, Beth berates his slow playing style, prompting him to call her too sharp and walk away. Things are clearly tense between them and it eventually leads to Harry packing up his things and leaving. He's got to start studying soon. Beth says that he has been very helpful to her. Harry confesses that he doesn't really love chess as much as he used to do and he's not absorbed in winning all. Before leaving, he offers her one last book and advises her to take care of herself. The next scene cuts to Ohio for the 1967 U.S. Championship. Beth enters the venue, and there, she runs into Benny Watts again. Denny provides his opinion on the way they're treated. Unlike other sports like golf or tennis, he compares their setup to those in the Soviet Union. Beth then tells him that she plans to go to the Soviet Union after she wins the U.S. Championship, but Benny provokes her, saying that she needs to beat him first. Next, the tournament proceeds as usual, with both of them crushing their opponents. As the days tick by, both Benny and Beth play their way into the final together. While Benny talks to reporters as a way of stroking his ego, Beth continues to read up on tactics in between studying. One evening, Benny invites Beth over for a few rounds of speed chess and beers, but she declines. Beth just wants to study on her own. But her plans don't go so well. Eventually, she ends up heading over to grab a cup of coffee when Benny once again approaches her. He continues to invite her over for a round of speed chess, but this time he has placed a wager of $5 per game. Beth doesn't want to waste her time, so decides to decline the offer again. However, Benny insists on allowing someone else to get her a cup of coffee. They begin to play, and with each round, the crowd grows larger. Unfortunately, Beth always loses, which forces her to give him a huge amount. The more Beth loses, the more the audience collects around. Beth goes back to her hotel room completely agitated and very sensitive. She begins to doubt her capacities. Devastated, Beth ends up just sleeping off her woes. The day after, Beth asks Benny if his goal is to really make a fool of her. He disclaims her question and states that she's the best player around, and that he's always just been the best at speed chess. However, Beth is humbled by the repeated losses. Benny apologizes for the speed chess gig and admits he wasn't trying to hustle her. He also admits to playing out the chess games inside his head too. They fight against each other in the final. She easily beats him in 30 moves with such credibility. Soon after, Benny and Beth drink at the bar and Benny is furious about the quick loss. He asks her advice about the Moscow Invitational because the winner of the U.S. State Championship is habitually invited. It turns out Beth didn't know she has been invited along to the Moscow Invitational following her win. Benny then offers himself to become her trainer as he knows how the Russians play. He then invites her to come to New York. Ultimately, after much thinking, Beth accepts his offer. Subscribe to see more videos like this, turn on the notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thanks for watching.